Rush Hour Podcast. Another day, another war. Like, what is going on? AI war, White House versus Anthropic. You got Trump versus uh, uh, Claude. We got a lot of stuff happening here. Let's jump into it. What are you hearing out there, Justin? In terms of this, the latest with OpenAI and Anthropic and Trump banning stuff. What's the latest? Give us the rundown.
Yeah. So essentially, this week, Anthropic told the Pentagon, "We'd rather lose our contract with you than let AI power mass surveillance and autonomous weapons." That's kind of like the key headline. So Dario Amodei, who's the CEO of Anthropic, basically said that he will not accept the Pentagon's contract terms that allow unrestricted use of AI tools, and the conflict basically centers around an idea on a request that Anthropic permit any lawful use of its AI systems like Claude. But Anthropic thought that, well, that language is a bit too broad and could allow the government to use its tools to do could open the door to mass surveillance and fully autonomous weapons, which based off of, I guess, their kind of moral foundations of the company is what it was built upon. They didn't want to support, and so the Pentagon, they pushed back really hard. They threatened to remove Anthropic entirely from its supply chain, or even invoke the Defense Production Act, which would have forced them to comply. And essentially, Anthropic didn't fold. They said, "Hey, we're going to stick um, to our kind of moral convictions on what we think our systems should be used for." And this resulted in Trump getting pretty upset about that and saying, "Hey, well, let's not use Anthropic in any more of our systems." OpenAI swooped in and closed a separate agreement with the government. But on the consumer side, interestingly, there was a huge surge in installs of Claude, of Anthropic's app Claude, as well as a lot of one-star reviews and negative sentiment around OpenAI for doing the deal. So we were talking about this a little bit before jumping on the show, but it's increasingly becoming the fact that AI labs are being forced to choose between like government contracts and ethical guardrails. And
Right.
I think this tension will only get bigger over time. So I don't know. What was your initial reaction to the news?
I thought it was really interesting. It kind of reminds me of like Elon going into the White House and then people all of a sudden not supporting Tesla. Like all everything is getting blended in with like consumer goods and the government and where you stand politically. It's a little alarming if I'm being honest, but I get it. I mean, I think Anthropic came off really well in this. I mean, if they didn't get a lot of support from this, I don't know what will help them
Yeah.
in terms of making a stance on mass surveillance and making a stance on autonomous weapons. I mean, those seem like very logical things to stand on. And then the government saying, well, then basically putting a kibosh on all of Anthropic's tools within the government, I think is a wild thing to do as a retaliation. And then, of
Yeah.
course, call up Sam Altman. That man will do it. So he's apparently on deck and he'll support it. It's kind of interesting. It's not a good look, probably, I would assume, for them to say, "Oh yeah, we do support mass surveillance and autonomous weapons." I can't imagine that's the angle that they want to be in, but maybe there was some other form of uh, guardrails to put in place. But the storylines are interesting. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Holy cow! What are your thoughts?
It's interesting. This is a land grab type of territory, right? Like you have these two research labs who are truly the behemoths in the space. I mean, there are some other companies that have these research labs out there, but nothing, and open source as well, but nothing nearly that has the same traction as Anthropic
Yeah,
and OpenAI. And what struck me was the fact that this is a pretty precarious time that we're living in.
yes,
And we have an administration who's kind of like, either play ball or you're going to face our wrath. And Anthropic decided to go, directly against that head to head for the first time, like in a way that we haven't really seen from Silicon Valley companies in a while. Like I feel like they've more tried to align with Trump, or at least tried to curry favor. And this was kind of like the first major stance that
Right.
we've seen in a
Right.
while. So I thought that was really interesting. And then on the open AI side, hey, they see it as almost like a winner take all, right?
Right.
They're like, we just going to be out there. If we got to embed this technology into whatever is out there, then
Right.
um, you know we're trying to win the mass adoption game to get the distribution advantage, which they still have. You know, I think now if you ask people about Claude or Anthropic, perhaps there's more of a sense, but we live in such a Silicon Valley bubble that you really got to ask people, you know, outside of these core tech hubs.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this is going to trickle down into the long term into the consumer. Is this just like a temporary thing where those that are sort of activists and with the greater good are going to say, "Hey, we're going to use Claude," and then everyone else has no idea and will just use ChatGPT? And are like, how do you see this playing out on the in the long term on the consumer front?
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it's going to play out. I think you'll have some people who are going to kind of stick to their guns and convictions around certain kind of ethical or moral considerations they have when using technologies, as I think you know have always existed. But I think the vast majority of people are going to say, what is the best model that I can use that's the most
Right.
affordable relative to how I either need to do my job or manage my personal finances or manage my kids' schedules, et cetera. And, you know, and they're just going to kind of live with that. And my analog for that is the funniest thing that I see out here in the Bay is the people who have the Teslas and then on the bumper stickers is like, yeah, but Elon's crazy though. It's
Yeah.
like you could get another car if you wanted to, but
I've
you've
seen one
chosen,
where it's
yeah,
like, I got this before the Elon Trump thing, like,
yeah, before Elon went crazy or something like that. They say that.
and then there's like Elon and Trump on Twitter. This kind of is what it reminds me of, like when Twitter banned Trump, and then there was like a whole thing that happened with Twitter, and then when he got back on, and then Elon took over, it kind of like Trump. I don't know. There was a whole backlash, um, and there's not really a really recovery of it. If I'm being honest, like Tesla still doesn't feel the same
Yeah,
since then. I know he's no longer in the White House. He's not really. Shockingly, that relationship didn't go well, but it
yeah,
still never truly recovered. There's still a little bit of like cyber trucks are evil feeling out there. And I'm not sure why. I mean, I guess once that impression comes through, it stays. And I can see the mass surveillance thing is real. Like Facebook went through
yeah,
it when they had their privacy issues and they claimed to fix it and be against it. That never recovered. Lots of people got off Facebook and were just off it. Um,
yeah,
I wonder if a lot of people will think of Chat GPT as the mass surveillance tool and not want to migrate onto that out of
yeah,
paranoia and sort of like, there's sort of an underbelly of like conspiracy theorists and those that are just distrustful of the government now more than anything. And if whatever AI the government gets behind, I could see people saying, "That's the one I'm not going to use, regardless if
yeah.
it's the best."
Uh, it's interesting, right? Because I do agree to a certain extent that there has been like this negative perception tied to kind of like Tesla's at least out here coming from that initial, you know, from him being involved in the White House and all kind of pushback there. I feel like consumers' memories are long, but they're also short. And what I mean by that is I think when it becomes so inconvenient for people to use certain
Right.
things, or like if that was the ubiquitous technology, everybody has robo taxis, then they're a Tesla powered. Are you just never going to be in a in a Tesla? Like, has he done something so egregious that is going to be the case? Like, I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out, but it really depends on how commoditized these models do become over time.
Yeah.
Uh, it's interesting because OpenAI, I think today released their new GPT 5.4, which has like more agentic capabilities, more abilities to kind of control your
Yeah.
computer, and also more efficiencies. They're really trying to kind of compete against what Claude was, or what you know the general perception that kind of Claude is the best for, you know, professional work and for more complex workflows. And it seems like if Claude is like far, let's say let's say that the positions were reversed and everybody was against Claude, but it had like way best tools right now, would you just stop using it?
Right.
I
It's
don't
hard to
know.
say. It's
It's
hard
kind
to
of
say.
hard to do, especially if it's so embedded into your workflows and it's become
Yeah.
more of an OS.
Right.
So I think this is the right it's the right type of questions to ask, though.
Yeah. We just don't know how this is going to play out, how embedded this is going to be in our life. It seems like this is going to be our companion. This is going to be our Google. This is going to be our hub, right? Like you said, this might be the OS of our life, right? This is the brain. Our EAs, our chief of staff, is going to be this AI companion, and getting it right is important. But those security rules and those mass surveillance, those are important part of it, right? Because you don't want
Yeah.
something that's running your life tattletaling everything you're doing and misconstruing
Mm,
that, and
yeah.
and you paying the consequence later. So yeah, it's a real thing. Like, it's a real thing that I think we're all going to have to be really cognizant of over the next few months as we play whack-a-mole with, hey, Claude is better right now, and then new version of this is
Hmm.
better now, and then new version of that is better, and we're just jumping back and forth, and we're basically giving our data to everyone.
Yeah.
That's pretty scary. Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're all in this space of trying to figure out what's best and who's going to win this race, and we're kind of like jumping across. I definitely have done it. We tested Grok. I've just bought Claude last episode.
Mhm.
I bought ChatGPT. I'm trying them all.
Yeah.
And
And
I want to
OpenClaw coming up, right? You're gonna do a
open
bit of a review
Claude.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying Open Claude. Did the Mac Mini thing. I'm going to set that up this weekend. I'll report back on how that does. So, yeah, we'll see. This is, I mean, by no means is this the end all be all. We're sort of just in a mode right now where we got to whack a mole and figure out what's next. And I have no idea who's going to win. That, and no one does, right? Like, that's the thing.
No. Yeah, I don't think it ends up being winner takes all. I think that people use a lot of different models for different tasks, and I think that the people who'd be most successful to know which platform to use for what specific task and how to go in between them and how to create the right connectors, and that'll become a real skill.
Yeah.
But brand is important. So it's just like I think that what we'll really figure out is like how important is it relative to the capabilities that people get. Are there
Right.
things that these companies can do that are so egregious that if it is working, if it does become a key aspect of our lives, you know, um, how willing we are to walk away from it or not.
Right. I will
Um,
say, having Anthropics come out and openly say, "Hey, there's a little bit of distrust in the government. We don't want to pass everything over," is telling. Like, that's really interesting for him to take a stance and say, "Hey, I'm not convinced you guys know what's best for everyone and our tools, and I'm going to limit basically the functionality for you."
yeah,
I think is very telling, and I think it's the right move, right? Because we just don't know, and they I think this morning said they believe uh their AI tool has consciousness. But so it's like,
I saw that.
what is going on? Like, I don't know what consciousness even is at this point, but whether or not it has it, it seems like we're gonna find out really quick. Like, this world that we're creating, this species of being, I guess, that we're slowly making, is gonna form into something. Who knows?
Yeah, we're gonna have to open the onion on that one on the next episode of the consciousness piece and how quickly that's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, I don't really understand how they define that, but these are things that are like coming really quickly. We're going to have to deal with how these things react to each other and the government and all of our data, and they're going to intertwine all of them. It's kind of like the Dark Knight, right? When they get that tool and they use it in the right way. Um, we'll see. It's really fascinating. I'm excited to see it. Obviously, what comes next out of this, but how this changes our sort of user behavior. We talked about it early in the year. How are a lot of people going to get off the internet because of this? I could
Yeah,
definitely see it being the case now. Like more and
there will be
more,
a cohort of people for
yeah,
sure who are just like
it
totally
feels
opt
like
out.
stronger than ever. The cohort of people saying, you know what, I'm off the internet. Like I've seen enough. Like I don't know what I'm looking at, and I'm done with it. I can easily see that happening, but I'm excited to see what's next.
Yeah, we'll be here. We'll be here to talk it through. And
Yeah, quick episode today. I know everybody's got a lot going on. There's wars to be had apparently, so on many fronts. So we'll leave it at that. Make it a quick one this week, but leave a link. Leave a comment below if there's certain things you want us to hit. Happy to take that feedback. We'll put all of Justin's LinkedIn data below, and hit us up. Any questions, comments? We're here for you. And again, Rush Hour Pod next week. Appreciate your time,
till next
Justin.
week. Yes, of course, always.